Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Other Epic Story Reading. This is the complimentary show to my vlog where I talk about tips and tricks, writing tips and tricks, and apply it to my own piece of writing, which is a dystopian fantasy. So today I am continuing with chapter 1. So the last time we left off, we were flashing back into our current main character's life, Bernard Barnwell, and talking about how he and his wife Cassandra got married, essentially as very young individuals. The blacksmith offered his hand. They shook and returned to their business. Within the week, the marriage was set. There was no discrimination in Jin about the age of the newlyweds. Bernard would be turning 11 in half a year, while Cassandra would be 9 in a couple of months. The matrimony was a small gathering of only close friends and family that could spare a break from work. Brief vows were exchanged and a modest meal was enjoyed. From that day on, Bernard and Cassandra would remain bound by their love and duty. Now, in the looming autumn of their 24th year, Bernard and Cassandra would still reminisce of their days at the town center well. Bernard bent down beside Cassandra and watched as she worked. He stopped her with his hand and said, "I'll finish up here. Go inside and set the table." He then placed his hand upon hers and felt the years of labor turning her beautiful fingers into instrument of pure grit. "It's fine," she said. "I can finish up." Bernard insisted she rests and take the less strenuous job of tending to the dinner table and the children, all 5 of them. At least to Bernard, it was considered a more pleasing chore than churning rock cheese for wheat soup by candlelight. He did not know that the table did not need to be set. It was a meaningless chore. There often weren't any utensils or plates used for their one-course meal. He didn't understand that the children didn't need their mother's supervision to prepare them for the night's end. The oldest daughter, Chloe, had taken the reign as the keeper of the house while her parents were away. The self-appointed 17-year-old found pleasure in ordering her siblings around. "It was a full-time job," she told her mom. "Those bratty kids never respect me until they make a mistake and need me to clean it up for them." Cassandra would smile and brush her humbled daughter's silver curls from her sea-blue eyes. She looked upon her and saw her youthful resemblance in Chloe. She will one day catch the eye of a respectable young man, and if she is as fortunate, she will marry into a respectable household. Why no boy has come to Bernard and asked for her hand in marriage was a mystery to Cassandra. "It is terrific, my dear," said Cassandra. "I don't want you to think that your father and I are not appreciative. We are. We cannot run this farm and this household without all 5 of you. But just because you are the leader does not mean you have to raise this family on your own." Chloe thought bitterly of her mother's response. "This family is all that matters to me, Mom. I do not wish to be sent away and adapt to something I know nothing about. This is my family as much as it is yours." "Your father has no time to summon men to line up at your bedroom door, Chloe," said her mother. "He only wishes you well." "Well," said Chloe, shuffling away, "let him know I am well." It was true that Bernard had grown obsessed over his ailing barn and the approaching winter. His family's affair has been set aside in terms of priority. He wouldn't allow himself to worry about Chloe's marital status or middle child Byron's summer flu or even little baby Connie's new teeth. His world has multiplied too fast, but all would agree that it was all still in order. Bernard Barnwell had a lot, but he manages it well. "Please, dear," said Cassandra as she continued churning the rock cheese her way. "No point standing there hounding over me, Bernard. Go inside and speak with the children. For once in a while, it'll be nice for you to have a conversation with them." Chloe spoke about you the other day. She's worried that you might be getting to that weary age where you pluck people from your mind. She says that you might be isolating your thoughts and worrying too much about the things you cannot control. Chloe said that about me, asked Bernard, shifting his stance nervously. Where does that girl find her theories? It must be genetics, smiled Cassandra. A smart mother breeds smart daughters. You praise yourself too often, my darling, said Bernard, as he bent down for a kiss. Cassandra released her puckered lips and said, Someone must. I feel so out of praise for so many years, I don't know what to do with myself. Compliments don't hurt once in a while. It's a slippery slope for us, Cassandra, he said, turning towards the house. One thing can lead to the next. There are no benefits for saving face. Arrogance is as deadly as the cancer that rots the brain. I'll tell Chloe that there is surely nothing wrong with me. Cassandra offered a chuckle of good riddance as her husband marched away. She listened to her husband's footsteps fade down the stone path. Her arms were growing numb to the repetitive motion of the poorly constructed mechanism. Up and down, and repeat and repeat. Cassandra took the task one motion at a time, like a paint stroke of an artist. It was a craft that took her decades to master, and now that she had, the rock cheese was as much part of her as the milk that flowed from her breast or the words that slipped from her tongue. She liked to call it art, but nay, in Jin, it was modest food. Culinary arts were a concept that few understood, but she did. She only wanted more ingredients, more colors to work with. She reached over for the candle to illuminate her workstation a little better. She stood up from her seat and felt the crackle cries of her back. Ow, she said as she stretched. Indeed, time was catching up to everyone. Shaking off her ailment, she began to go over the steps of separating the churned mess from the churner. She dragged the candle a little closer to see, though she was so familiar with the process that she could have done it blindfolded. She simply preferred not to. Cassandra felt a sudden need to rush her work. Patience was an attribute she lacked. She'd never become an artist with that attitude. Her willingness to abandon a promising prospect so near completion worried her, but the darkening night worried her more. The consistency of the rock cheese didn't seem to be priority all of a sudden. She hurried herself, working to get herself to the house. Then, a gust of wind from the east blew the candle out. She froze in the darkness. An eerie feeling crept up from her toes. Unable to break free of the paralysis, she stood her ground and waited for her eyes to adjust. A high sailing film of fog had moved in, and the starry sky and the waning crescent moon were blocked from view. It was just Cassandra, the cheese, and the feeling that perhaps she was not alone in the Barnwell courtyard. Hello? Cassandra ventured a cry to the nothingness. Someone there? Bernard? No reply, not even the echo of her own voice. There was only the self-mutilating thought that someone was lurking in the ever-growing shadows, preparing to harm. Who could it be? The phantom thief? Had it decided to make an early visit this year? What fortune it would be for her to catch that elusive creature in the act. She reached for a weapon swiftly and found the manure shovel clenched in her hands. She slowly stepped back, moving cautiously towards her house. Step by step, she slowly backed away from the bucket of rock cheese she had worked so hard to make. Cassandra took a deep breath and laughed when she saw herself in her mind's eye, in a fighting stance with a manure shovel. She shook her head and tossed the shovel back where it belonged. Brushing the filth off her hands, she made her way back to the separated portion of cheese. She lifted the bucket to her nose and sniffed the fresh aroma of fatty coagulated cow milk, a mixture of herbs, and a large portion of petrified bread that gave it its name. It was a fragrance that always calmed her nerves. Then, without warning, she felt a strange grip upon her shoulder, A silent shout called out for help as she spun around and struck the stranger with the bucket. The bucket smashed into 100 pieces upon impact. Cassandra and the victim of her bucket battery were drenched with the gooey, muddy consistency of her art. She couldn't breathe as she stopped herself from falling over. She tried screaming for help, but nothing came out of her mouth as she stumbled over the stool she was sitting on. "Help!" she finally hollered from the ground. "Bernard, someone, help!" Her call resonated across the field, and her husband was at the door with a lamp and a knife without another second to be wasted. Bernard, followed by their children, sprinted across the courtyard. He managed to stop himself before he lost traction in the pool of cheese. He shone the light on his frightened wife. "Cassie," he said, "what's the problem?" Before she had a chance to reply, their second son, Byron, shone the light on the unconscious stranger beside the broken churner. "There," said the boy. "Some man." "Stay away, Byron," ordered his father as he stood up in his assertive stance. "Don't get too close. He could still be awake and dangerous." "Is he the creature, Dad?" asked the second daughter, Cynthia, peering from behind the shield of her older sister. "Did Mom kill the monster?" Bernard did not dare reply. Not yet, at least. With his lamp illuminating the strange man, and the knife in his hand ready to strike, he approached with caution. "What are you?" he asked himself as he studied the fallen thing. Whatever he was, Bernard told himself, he surely could not be the creature. Could he? That concludes chapter 1. If you want to see how I began this whole project, click up here. I got more videos coming up. If you're interested in hearing more from this very rough story and watching it evolve over time, please hit subscribe. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think of what you have heard so far. Take care. Keep believing in yourself. That's an order. That's an order.